Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nicole with Made from Scrap, and today I am going to be sharing with you my design team project that I made using the Little Builder collection from Echo Park. And this is an 8x8 album, and it has a 2.5-inch wide spine. I have used the lay flat binding method for putting this cover together. It is chipboard cover. It has 4 pages inside, and I'm going to do a walkthrough first, and then I will move on to the tutorial right after that. Make sure that you have pen and paper handy to go ahead and write down all of the measurements for the products that I used and cut down, and then because I do all of the construction from the pages and the hinge system to showing you how to put it together. I don't show you how I paper matted it, so that's why I'm going to do the walkthrough now. Make sure that you check out the description box below. I do have my links that are to countrycraftcreations.com for all the products that I used here today, and if you use those links, then it does help my channel, but it doesn't cost you anything more. So let's get started with this. I've used a couple of cut aparts on the front, and I've also layered up the paper here. And then I showed you I used one of the ephemera pieces on the spine right here. I cut a piece of the bindings of the branding strip down, and then I went ahead and layered that up, and then I layered this piece up on the back cover. So on the inside, when you open it up, like I said, it's 4 pages. I do have the angled pockets here in the front with some ephemera pieces. The frames and tags part of the collection here, it comes with some of these little tag pieces, so you just punch out the circle that's already done for you. And then I use some of the seam binding and the yellow jute twine from my design team package. And if you're interested in all of those items and me walking through it, I do have a video on my channel below, but this is just the cutest. Then I have in this front pocket one of the 4x6 cut aparts here backed on artisan cardstock. I have another one of the 4x6s just tucked in here onto this large photo mat here. And then on the back side you see that cute paper. Okay, tuck that in right there. And then moving on to the page construction, I have 4 pages, all that measure and are put together the same exact way. And I want to show you real quick from the top view. This is a really large album because it will hold a lot of photos, and you can see this is how it sits when it's closed. So when you fill this up with photos, you're going to see that there's plenty of space for all of your photos to be in there without this being what we consider alligator mouth like that. Okay, so for the page construction, you have 3 pages here that are flaps. I should say 3 flaps on the front, and I did decorate this with one of the 4x4 cut aparts on some artisan cardstock. I used some my powder tool from EK Success that Country Craft Creations had carried a while back. I'm not sure if that one's still available, but if it is, then I will link it below in order to take the sticky off from the back side of this little cement truck. But these are stickers from the collection. And then we have some little ephemera pieces here with the solids for the collection. And I'm just going to do a quick flip through of this because this is a large album. So you can see here, this is a pocket page. All of them do have this pull out here. I mentioned in the video how I used my circle punch in order to create those tabs there. And then when you flip the pocket page over, you're going to see this on the back side where this has this large pop-up page here. So you have a lot of space for photos on here, and then this flips down, more spot for photos here. This closes up, and then you have this on the back side of each and every page, which this is a belly band here, so you have a spot for more photos to put those in, and then you have a little tuck spot here. Again, for some of the cut aparts, I just cut 2 of them and scored down the middle like that and put them together, and those can tuck right in there like so. And then we'll move on to the second page because, like I said, all of the construction is the same, so I'll just do the quick flip here for you to see the decorating. And if you want to have a little bit longer view, just make sure that you slow down this video on YouTube. But you can see here, look how cute this is. Isn't it adorable? My goodness. And I left this portion without sticky underneath it, without gluing the top portion down, just so I could have a little tuck spot there for another one of those tags. And then a couple more of the cut aparts here. I dig it. This is how we roll. These are 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch photo mats, so those tuck in there nicely. Okay, moving along, the next set of 3 flaps are here. Build anything you dream. I dig dirt. Isn't that cute? Another pull out. Dirt don't hurt. Caution kids at play. This flips open like so. It says Tiny Tykes. Another one of the stickers there. Glue. Okay, then we have a couple more cut aparts. Always on the go. Warning kids at work. 3, 2, 1, go. Another photo mat there. Then the last set of flaps for the last page here, just like this. Work in progress. This is adorable paper. And then you have this on the back side. Again, this is the tuck-in for these cut aparts. Here, stop growing up, boy oh boy, dirty needs and dump trucks please. This is one of the ephemera pieces, do not enter. Of course you have that little photo mat that goes right there. And then this is how it opens up here. Flap there. I only glued on the bottom, and this is one of the stickers, so I could put another one of the cut aparts there. This is the checkerboard paper, by the way, that goes with the collection. Again, check out my design team haul where I showed the 2 checkerboard patterns that I received as part of that package. And then on the back cover here, I have this stack pocket. So I did place a couple more of the tags from the Ephemera Frames and Tags collection. I have a little 4x4 cut apart here. This is 2 of the 4x6 cut aparts. And again, I just cut it so that I was able to score it down the middle. And then I put some of that checkerboard pattern paper inside for a photo mat. It's just flipped over. This is the solid side. And then I have a couple more of the 4x6 cut aparts here on some artisan that measures 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Little sticker here. And then these are the last large tags that I have in that tall pocket. And these also will fit a 4x6 photo, and you can put a 3x4 up here on the top if you'd like. And I just think it's adorable. So nothing on the back there. But I hope that you enjoy making this project. I think it's super cute. So give me a thumbs up on my channel. I'd love to see you do this in many other papers as well. And yeah, I'd love to see you make this project. So until next time, everyone, happy crafting you all. The tutorial's coming up right next. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Nicole with Made from Scrap, and today I am working on the tutorial for the Little Builder collection that I have for my design team project for Country Craft Creations. And I use my lay flat binding method that Tamara Merrill came up with, and I have the link in the description box below to my tutorial for that project and how to put this together. The sizes so that you can make one of these is 2 pieces of 8x8 chipboard and for the covers, and then 1 spine piece that measures 2.5 inches wide by 8 inches tall. Then for the covering for your cardstock, you're going to have 2 sheets that measure 10 by 10, and you'll use those for the cover. That gives you 1 inch all the way around. And then for the spine piece, you need 1 piece that measures 5.5 inches wide by 10 inches tall. And that will give you 1.5 inches on either side. This way, if you use those acrylic spacers that are available at countrycraftcreations.com, then you can have an even width 1.5 inch wing on the sides and the 1 inch on the top and the bottom that you can wrap that top and bottom of your spine piece right there. Then lastly, the piece that you need to cover here, I cut a piece that measures 6 inches wide. I'm sorry, is that right? No, 5 inches wide by 7 7/8 inches tall. And I'm going to put that on last, but I want to get started with the pages. And these are the pages that we're going to make. So it's going to have 3 flaps like so on the front. Then you're going to have a pocket page, just like that. Okay. And then when you flip this over, you're going to have a pocket that is a little tuck spot here. It's going to have another flap right here. And then this whole thing will be another flap page, that is. That's going to come up like so, open like this. And I haven't glued this yet because that's where our binding is going to go. Attach the page to the cover. You'll have a flap on the left here, and then you'll have another flap on the right here. So it'll open up really large, okay? And then of course you'll have the pull out from the pocket page. So let's get started. Oh, and I should have mentioned that this is a belly band, okay? So we'll have another tuck spot there. So I'll show you how we put all of this together. Let's go ahead and get started with the pages. So like I said, you're going to cut, this is a 4-page album. So for each page, you're going to cut 3 pieces that measure 6 3/4 inches wide by 6 inches tall. Okay, that's for each page. And then with the 6 3/4 inches at the top, you're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 of an inch. So I'm going to be doing 1 page with you all because all of them are exactly the same, and I already have 3 put together, so this is going to be my 4th one. So all 3 of those flaps are going to have a score at 1/2 of an inch on that 6 3/4 inch side. Next, you're going to have 1 piece for each page, and that measures 8 inches by 7.5 inches. Okay, and on the 8-inch side at the top, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 of an inch and 7.5 inches. Then we're going to rotate that 90 degrees so that now we have the 7.5 inches at the top, and we're going to score that at 1/2 of an inch. This is going to be part of our pocket page. Okay, then the other part of our pocket page, you're going to need 1 for each of the pages that measures 12 inches in width by 7 inches tall. And with the 12 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score that at 7 inches. Right at 7 inches, okay? Next, you're going to need a piece for each page that measures 5 1/4 inches by 8 inches. And this is going to be our belly band tuck spot. And so with the 5 1/4 inches at the top, you're going to go ahead and score that at 1.5 inches. Then we're going to rotate this 90 degrees, and we're going to have the 8 inches at the top, and we're going to go ahead and score it at 1/2 an inch and 7.5 inches. Okay. And then lastly, you want to have 2 pieces for each page that measures 6 inches wide by 7 inches tall, and with the 6 inches at the top, we're going to score that at 1/2 of an inch. And you're going to do that with both of these. Okay. So I will tell you, for this album, it is a big boy album for this little builder, and I have nearly used almost a full package of artisan cardstock, which is 25 sheets of 12 by 12. Okay, so that is one of our pages that we just did. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a paper clip around that because I want to finish up the scoring. So you're going to do that 4 times, okay, since there's 4 pages. Now for the pockets, we're going to have a piece that measures 9 inches by 3.5 inches. And so we're going to score that with the 9 inches at the top at 1/2 inch, 8.5 inches, rotate it, and then with your 3.5 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score it at 1/2 inch all the way down. Okay, just like that. Moving on, you're going to have another piece that measures just one of these, 9 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And so we're going to go ahead with the 9 inches at the top, and we're going to score that at 1/2 inch, 8.5 inches, and then rotate that over to have the 5 inches at the top, and we're going to score that at should we have that right? Okay, I wrote that one down wrong. So we're going to score that at 2 inches. Okay. Next, we're going to have one last piece that measures 8 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And for this one, this is going to be for the inside front cover, and this is going to be angled pockets, doubled angled pockets. So with the 8 inches at the top, we're going to score that at 1/2 inch, 7.5 inches. Rotate that over to have the 5 inches at the top, and we're going to score that at 1/2 inch. Okay, and that is all of the scoring that we're going to do. So I'm going to put my scoreboard aside. Now I'm going to go ahead and work with that angled pocket first. Let me pull this cutter out. Okay. And working with that cutter, I want to go ahead and place this so that I'm going to cut this right in half. So I'm going to place this at the 4-inch mark here. Trim it like so. And then I'm going to flip this over on top of each other. Line those up. And I'm going to cut an angle off of this. So if you want to do any measurements, I would measure from the outside. I'm going to measure over at 1 inch, and I'm going to place a little tick mark up here with my pencil. And then I'm going to measure from the top down. So the score line is down at the bottom. From the top down, and I'm going to score that at I'm going to mark that at 2.5 inches. Just like so. So I have a tick mark here and a tick mark there. Now with these two pieces together, it is thicker, but that's okay. I'm going to place this tick mark right in my groove for my cutter. And I'm going to place the other one right in the groove as well. And then this is going to allow me to cut it at an angle. Just like that. So now when you pull this together like this, you have the angled pocket on either side that we will use on our front cover. So I'm just going to again use one of my paper clips to keep those together. Just like that. And these you can toss. Okay. And that's it for the cutter. Now we're going to move backwards. So this is one of our pockets for the back cover, inside back cover. This was the next to last thing that we did. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can see this score line here, and then score line here. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off. Just like that. And trim this off. Just like that. And this is going to be my stacked pocket on the inside cover. Then this was the other piece that I had cut for the inside back pockets. So I'm going to cut out the corners there. This is how we're going to make our pockets. Just like that. And I like to tuck the sides around first, and then the bottom, fold that underneath. And then I'll give these a good burnish, just like so. Okay, I'm going to grab my album here. I need to grab my piece here really quick. So I cannot find my piece I cut. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another one real quick. 5 inches by 7 7/8 inches. And that's going to go here. Like so. So let me grab my glue. That down. Start at the edge and push towards the middle so that I spread that glue towards the middle. Okay, instead of trying to squish it out the edges. And then I want to make sure to run my bone folder up and down where it would be in between the two chipboard pieces, kind of get that wing to stand up a little bit. I'm going to do that with the opposite side as well, just like this. Then I can put glue on the back side of this wing and place that down. Okay. A little bit heavy-handed there. Okay. Now that I have that down, let me do the other wing really quick. Burnish that really well. Okay. Now I'm going to place my first pocket here at the bottom. Okay. And then my second pocket, I did not fold over this bottom piece, but that is going to tuck right inside of the first pocket, all the way down until you have that score line meet the top. Okay. And some folks like to go ahead and put tape, like a gift wrapping tape at the bottom here, so that your pieces of paper stick down. When you do a stacked pocket, if you put the piece down even longer, then you can have it tuck in, but that does build in bulk. And I find if you wrap the sides back first, and then wrap up the top, the bottom piece, that you're less likely to have your tags and stuff stick into that bottom piece, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this pocket on. So place glue on those side wings and on the bottom. Okay, stick that down, line it up with the outside edge and with the bottom of the album. Okay, and then I'm only going to place glue on these wings here on the side before those get tucked. That gets tucked down like so. And then it should align with the outside edge as well. You can burnish that down. And then let's go ahead and do these front angled pockets that are going to go here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and cut out these corners. That one. And this one I'm cutting out even the thickness of the score line, so every bit of that corner. So again, I'm going to fold back the side and then fold up the bottom. And I'll give that a good burnish. Okay, and that's going to get lined up on the outside edge here. And then on the opposite one, fold back the side and then fold up the bottom. And that's going to get placed here. Keep it even with your chipboard piece so that you make sure to maintain that center fold area so that your book actually functions, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and place glue on those 1/2 inch flaps. And you can line it up with that chipboard piece. Corners. Burnish it down. Just like that. And then the other one. Line it up with the outside edge there and the bottom. And burnish that one. Okay. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to choose a decorative pattern paper for the top of my spine piece. I'm going to go ahead and cover that. Since this is 2.5 inches wide, I'm going to cut that just 1/8 of an inch shorter in width and 1/8 of an inch shorter in height. So what should that be? 2 3/8 inches in width by 7 7/8 inches in height. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and put our binding hinge piece on. Okay, for the hinge, we have a piece that measures 4.5 inches wide by 7 inches tall. And what we're going to do is go ahead and score that with the 4.5 inches at the top at every 1/2 inch. So that means at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 3 inches, 3.5, and 4. Okay, so each and every 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go ahead and burnish each one of these. Okay, score lines. Just like so. Make sure that you have it straight. I'll go a little bit off. Okay, so what we're going to have is the outside 1/2 inches. Those are going to be folded so that they are sticking up in the air. Okay, those are going to be hinges, or outside hinges. The next 1/2 inch inward is going to be our gusset. So that's going to lay flat, that's going to get glued flat. And then the next one, which is the third one in on both sides, is going to be our next hinge. So what we need to do is make sure to fold this back. So after that second, I'll show you, the second score line from the inside needs to be folded towards the middle. Okay. Okay, that's going to go up, and then the next one is going to be pinched together to serve as a hinge. So you're going to end up with something that looks like this. Okay, and I can already see that I am not, it's not an even 1/2 inch, and that is important. I'm not going to lay flat if I don't get those score lines right. Finish that right. Okay. And then the same thing with the opposite side. So these first ones are going to come up, then you'll have a flat gusset. The next two are going to get pushed together, then you'll have a flat gusset. The next two will get pushed together, you'll have another one, another hinge, and then the last flat gusset will be there. And so this is what you want it to look like here. And these V's will get glued together. So pinch those together and burnish them. So you're going to end up with hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge. Okay. So here we have a gusset, here we're going to have a hinge. So I need to glue these two together. Like that. So let me burnish those together. So you end up with your 4-page hinge, just like that, okay? And so I'm going to take my album, I'm going to go ahead and cut down a piece of pattern paper here that measures 2 3/8 inches wide by 7 7/8 inches tall. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, 2 3/8 inches wide by 7 7/8 inches tall. So let me put a little bit of glue on the back side of this. Center it best I can and go ahead and burnish that down. Okay. And then I'm going to take my binding and I'm going to go ahead and place that right in the center. So I'm going to place glue on the back side of these 3 gussets. that. I'm going to go ahead and eyeball center that. Okay. Burnish that down. I'm just finger burnishing those 3 gussets, and then I'll come back and actually use my bone folder. Press that down. Make sure it has a really good stick and that your flaps still like to function. Okay, obviously that's important. And don't tear up your book while you're trying to burnish. Okay. We have our 3 pieces. All right. Now that we have that, we'll place that to the side, and let's go ahead and fold our paper pieces for our pages. So I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to flip over my stack because I want to start from the top at what I had told you as far as the cutting measurements. And the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and burnish all of my pieces. So the first thing I have is my 3 front flaps. These are horizontal flaps. And then I have my pocket page here. Okay. Burnish all 3 of those score lines for your pocket page. And then you will need your scissors again, so we're going to cut out the corners. Since this is a pocket page, we're going to cut out the corners down here, those intersecting lines, just like that. Okay. And then we have this 12-inch wide piece by 7 inches. So we're going to go ahead and burnish that. Okay. Then we have, this is the belly band piece. So we're going to go ahead and burnish all of these score lines here, top and bottom. And then the center section, that was at the 1.5-inch score line. Okay, and then for this belly band one, you can see that we're going to take our scissors and we're going to go ahead and just cut out a small wedge like that. Okay, remove that section there and do exactly the same thing here on the opposite side. And what that's going to allow us to do is have the top and bottom of this wider section push back, and then you're going to fold this 1.5-inch piece this way, reburnish it, and then fold these tabs in for that 1.5-inch piece as well, and give that a good burnish. Okay, and that's going to be our little pocket tuck, and this is going to be our belly band. Okay. Lastly, you're going to have the side flaps. These measured 6 inches by 7 inches, and then we scored it on the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's all scored and cut. So we're going to start with the 12-inch wide piece first. This was, turned around, 12 inches wide by 7 inches tall, and then we scored it at 7 inches. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn this around so that the 5-inch section is on your left-hand side, and you're going to fold it underneath so that you have a folded side here and a cut edge over here, and lay that down. And then you want to grab your pocket piece. So that's the section that was like this, that we cut out the corner tabs. We're going to fold in the sides and then fold up the bottom. And then we're going to rotate it a quarter turn so that we're going to glue what was the bottom to the folded side of the piece that we just had underneath that we laid down. Okay, so this is going to end up getting glued just like so. So you have a 1/2 inch tucked under here, a 1/2 inch tucked under on the bottom, and then a 1/2 inch tucked under on the left side. And this will be your open pocket page. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to place glue on these 1/2 inch tabs. Okay. And then we'll place that down, line it up with the piece underneath, and make sure that you line it up with your right hand side here, because this is going to show. I want these to be even. Okay, square it up. So what's nice about using the glue, it gives you a little extra time to wiggle stuff around before you go burnishing it down. Then it will hold. Okay. So with that, you have the pocket here on the right. And then if I tip it up, you can see that this was the flap that was folded underneath. Okay. Let's hold on to it just like that. And then we're going to grab our 3 pieces that were the flaps that were 6 3/4 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And we're going to have this piece folded under here. I'm going to go ahead and place glue on that. And I'm going to start with this top left corner matching up with the top left corner here of my pocket page, so that I line up the top and the left. Just like that, and I'll burnish that down. Okay, open this up and make sure to burnish really well. Okay, the next one, we're going to just stagger these down to the bottom. Okay, so you need to make sure that you leave a little bit of space here so that you don't cover up that score line. You're just right next to it. And I'm just eyeballing the center from the bottom of this flap to the bottom of the pocket page. Okay. Place that down and burnish it, and then open it up and burnish it again. Last one, I'm going to have the third one. Same idea, but line it up with the bottom of the pocket page, and then make sure that you don't overlap that score line. Okay. Just like that. Okay, then once you have all 3 of those on, go ahead and give that another burnish. All right, let's go ahead and flip the whole thing over like so. Okay, then we want to take our flaps. These measured the 6 inches by 7 inches. On the 6 inch side, we scored it at 1/2 inch, and we're going to tuck that underneath. And we're going to go ahead and place glue on this one, and we're going to place this right up against the left hand side. Line it up with the top and bottom, just like so. Burnish that down. Off the top. There we go. Okay. Now the next side flap, before we glue this down, we want to glue our page to our hinge. So I'm just going to dry fit this right now, like so. And then what I'm going to do is have our belly band with the shorter section on the left-hand side. This is going to get folded down like so. So let me go ahead and glue these down. Burnish that. Okay. And then I'm going to place glue on the 1/2 inch strips for the actual belly band. And I'm going to center that on this flap. So you can use your grid mat or you can just eyeball it. Either way works. I just eyeball it. But I am placing it about 1 inch away from the left-hand side. And then we're going to burnish the top and the bottom. Just like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach these to our pages to our book. So let's bring this back in. Okay, and I'm going to take the page assembly that we just did. Remember, we didn't glue this back one on. What I want to do is go ahead and place glue on this flap here, the hinge, and then this is going to get stuck right to it, just like that. After I glue that on, then this page assembly is going to get glued right to that. And that's how we're going to attach our pages. Now, the one thing you want to remember to do is do not place your page all the way down flat into the gusset. You want to leave a little extra space, otherwise you won't be able to turn your book so well. So, because of that, I'm just going to place glue right along the edge of my page instead. Okay. And then I'm going to open up my hinge and place my page down on top of it and make sure, I think I have like 1/8 of an inch here. And that way I can make sure is my page straight on the top and the bottom. And do I think it has the same amount of space from the score line at the top and the bottom of the hinge, which I think it does. So I'm just going to quickly give that a finger burnish. Just like that. Okay. All right. Next I'm going to go ahead and place glue on this page flap like we talked about. And this is going to get glued right on top. And remember to keep your distance like 1/8 of an inch away from the bottom of that hinge, because this is going to give us a little bit of extra space that we need in order for your page to turn. Okay, so I'm going to open that up, give that a good burnish, just like so. All right, and that's our first page. So our first page will be the same as all the rest of them because we constructed them all the same. We're going to have the 3 flaps, and then we'll have our pocket page here. So we need to put our insert in still. This will turn over, and then you have your little tuck spot here. You have your belly band here. This is part of a flap. Then you have your flap to the left, and another flap that's going to move to the right. Okay, make sure to burnish that down. Okay, that needs to all move together. And like that. Like I said, this is going to be a big and chunky one. So let's go ahead and put the rest of these in. Again, put glue along the edge of my pages. Lay my hinge down, lay it down on my hinge. Make sure the bottom is straight. Make sure the top is straight. Go ahead and give that a finger press. Be a little bit patient, because yeah, I'm not. Okay, let me try this again. You know, I might make these hinges a bit longer. Might be better to make them longer. A little bit more to stay on the page. I think I do have the room in this book. Yeah, you do have the room. Okay. But you know, I'm trying this for you, so you can learn from my mistakes or any issues. Give that a good burnish. Open that one up. See, the glue is not the page assembly is pretty thick, so you have to have enough glue on it to actually spread the width of that whole hinge. And I was trying to not have it squeeze out everywhere, so, you know, need a little extra though. Okay, and that's number 2. I'm going to try being patient and letting this dry this time. Yes, I think definitely you have to have more glue for these large pages. And it probably would be better to have a 1-inch hinge. That way you don't have to fight it so much. It will hold, I think, but you don't have to fight it so much. Yeah? Or feel like you're fighting it. Like I said in the beginning, this is a big album. But for a baby album, 1 page for every 3 months. So, lots of photos, right? Okay, last one. Definitely does not lay flat. The cover does. The pages, not so much. Way too chunky. But if you want something for a lot of photos, you're going to have a lot of photos. Right. Okay, last piece, get this on. Open that one up. All right. So let's see, these will end up going in here or in the tuck spot. or in your back pages. I'll put spots right here. So let me go ahead and finish getting this all decorated, and then I'll come back with a walkthrough. But you can kind of see, look how much space you have right there for this to get big and bulky with all those photos. And I don't think it will, I mean, you can fill it up quite a bit before it would start to alligator mouth, right? So, okay, let's go ahead and talk about some of the inserts that I have in this album. First of all, we have the pocket pages. So I cut 4 pieces. This is all from my scraps left over. So 4 pieces that measure 6 3/4 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And then you can see that I used my crocodile corner chomper with the angle side, and I went ahead and cut all of those corners. Then for the pullouts here, I used a circle punch that measures 1.5 inches, and I cut out some of the decorative paper using that punch. I folded it in half, and then I cut along the fold, and then I glued those 2 halves together so that I would have a pull tab. Okay, so that's one. Then I cut 2 pieces for 4x4s that measure, out of the artisan cardstock, I should have said, that measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. And then that's just for putting these 4x4 cut aparts. Then I cut 7 pieces of artisan cardstock that measures 4 1/4 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches wide. And I put 4 of them in the belly bands that are 1 for each page section, and then I have 3 cut aparts that measure the 6x4s or the 4x6s, so I used those up. And then I cut 1 piece that measures 6, let me make sure, yeah, 6 3/4 inches wide by 7 inches tall. And you can see that I just used scrap pieces that I had cut when I made the angled pockets for the inside front cover that you'll see in a moment. And then I just glued it on 2 sides here so that I could have it as a little tuck spot. And this is another one of the 4x6 cut aparts. You can see an ephemera piece right here. And then I back this with some of the decorative paper. Then lastly, I cut 2 pieces that measure 4 1/4 inches wide, and this is 12 inches long. And then I put that in my scoreboard like so, with the 12 inches at the top, and then I scored it at 7 inches, just like that. Okay, and then this is going to be a tall tag. And then I went ahead and burnished that score line. Okay. And on the short piece that's going to be up at the top for me, I used my angle punch, just like that. And then I went ahead and pulled 2 of my, what do you call these? What do you call these little things? I don't know. Blank. Oh my goodness. The branding strip. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so then what I did is I pulled out 2 of the branding strips, and then I cut a piece down because those are only 1/2 inch wide. I went ahead and cut 2 pieces down to measure 4 1/4 inches in width, and then I'm going to be placing that down here. So let me get my art glitter glue real quick. And I'll place that down at the bottom. I'm just really eyeballing it so that it is, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. Okay, and this will allow me a space up here for a 4x6 photo. And I have 2 of those. So now let's go ahead and put that into the album, and I'm going to do a walkthrough for you. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing your project. I think that this 8x8 album with all of this space for the photos really could be a great wedding album as well as a baby album, because there is so much room here for photos. So leave me a comment below, give me a thumbs up for this video if you enjoyed this project, and I look forward to seeing your project soon. Thank you so much. Until next time, everyone. Happy crafting, you all. Oh, one more thing. Make sure that you click on the links below in the description box. Those are my affiliate links. That helps my channel. It doesn't cost you any more, but it takes you right to these items that are available at countrycraftcreations.com. And make sure you check out the other designers that are working hard to bring you projects so that you can play with your paper too. All right, everyone. Now, happy scrapping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.